Hey yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to Toe Tags, and today we're giving you guys our album review of Black Labyrinth by Jonathan Davis. Alright guys, so we just listened to this album for an entire week straight, and we developed our opinions on it, and I must say that this album definitely grew on me quite a lot. If you guys watched our first impressions, we took dumps on this album. Like, we were not feeling this album off the beginning.
I don't think it was that bad, but it was a little subpar for both of us.
It was very subpar for me. But like I just said, it grew on me a lot. Even songs that I really just wasn't feeling on the first listen, like Gender, for example, Please Tell Me, these tracks that I was just so bored listening to them. They definitely grew on me, and I don't know, something about this album I like to say is that it's very like mood and atmospheric driven. You get a lot of emotion listening to the album. These songs are well written, well performed. It's not really metal per se. I guess it would fall maybe like a new metal type of category, but I look at more of like an alternative rock type of thing, which is not bad. So it's nothing you can really bang your head to and get behind and like thrash out to or anything like that. Although there's a couple parts like in What You Believe, the groove in that song is pretty pumping, so you can get going with that. But overall, the album just encompasses this atmosphere that I don't quite know how to put my finger on what exactly to call it, but I like it. I like it a lot. And it took a few listens to grow on me, but I think once I started shuffling the album, I started finding different parts of different songs that were kind of appealing to me in different ways, and I was going, oh, that's really cool, like, that's really cool. And then I started looking at, what's this song called? Oh, that's on Please Tell Me? Oh, that's cool, I really like that part now. And now that song's growing on me, and things like that kept happening. But, like, I don't know, I can go into specifics about certain songs, this, that, whatever. You know what my favorite song was? It's probably What You Believe. I know I just mentioned that a second ago, but What You Believe is probably my favorite song on the album. Close second is What It Is, which was the first single.
The last track.
What It Is the first single, but last track. What It Is an amazing song, just all around. What You Believe is also an amazing song, but What You Believe to me takes the edge because of the grooves. It's got like this awesome, like, rhythmic, choppy groove that goes with it, and the vocal melodies that match with that, and they kind of just go together so well. I don't know, it's just such a hype song. It just really is awesome to listen to.
Yeah, it's kind of got that Nine Inch Nails or like Mechanical Animal style.
You mentioned Nine Inch Nails. It's hilarious that maybe not hilarious, but it's awesome that you mentioned that, because there are parts in that song where I feel like you could start singing Nine Inch Nails song like right off of those lyrics. Like, it fits so well. Maybe I'll make a mashup or something like that and play it, but I think it would fit so well with some Nine Inch Nails, you know, mashup type of thing. But anyways, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling a little bit here. What were your thoughts on the album?
So this album, for me, you know, much like yourself, it grew on me a lot. And you know, you said we took a dump on it. I don't remember really taking a massive dump on this album, but it kind of disappointed me a little bit when we first listened to it. And I feel there's a specific reason for that, because we always like to, you know, do first impressions and then a review back to back to back, etc. At the time, we just reviewed Five Finger Death Punch, which has a specific flavor to it, has a specific vibe to it, and we also didn't like that album at all. So going from that, like with, you know, just kind of a hard pumping album, to something that's a lot more atmospheric, a lot more emotionally based, is a complete 180. So it's really hard for us to kind of adjust immediately. So I feel in scenarios when we do go from a really like kind of punching album to something on the softer side, it's gonna affect how we listen to it for the first time.
It's a little bit hard to mentally adjust that fast to something so drastically different.
Yes, exactly. But for me, you know, even by the second or third day after the album came out, I was already loving this album. You know, you said it brings an atmosphere, an emotional kind of headspace that you don't quite understand. I think that's because it's Jonathan Davis. He writes very emotional lyrics, and in all of his music, with Korn and here, he does a great job at just getting you to think. And he just writes about so many personal experiences it's great to see like he has so much of himself to give for the audience, and this album is no stranger to that. If I were to pick a favorite song, it would probably be Walk On By, because the groove in that song gets me every single time, especially near the end when he's playing the ride and he's hitting the bell on every eighth note. Fuck, it's so sick. Every single time I hear it, I'm looking forward to that song when I hear it.
Yeah.
Your God was also sick. I liked how those were back to back because, you know, it was revealed, or to me it was revealed by some others that Ray, I don't know if it's Lucia or Lucier, my apologies for the mispronunciation of his last name, but the drummer from Korn, and I think on those two songs it's pretty obvious that it's him because you definitely see his style.
Yeah, you hear that style for sure.
And you also hear it at the end of Basic Needs, which at first I kind of shat on, like, okay, this is kind of too long, but when you hear him kind of go off, like in the solo section, it's really cool. I also mentioned that in the second half of the album, it's not really bringing your energy up, it's just constantly going down, down, down. I disagree with myself now because, you know, looking at it, it creates such an interesting contour. And with the ending being what it is, which is not really a huge, powerful send-off, it's just kind of, it's sad, it's just kind of laying you down as opposed to throwing you down as some albums like to do. So I definitely give a lot of respect for Jonathan Davis for that. One thing I would change in regards to track listing, it would be Brave, but I think Final Days should have been the first track. Because, you know, when we first listened to it, I was really caught off guard by Final Days being the second track. Like, we go from something like Underneath My Skin, which is a really cool song, by the way. I like the kind of happy, cheery atmosphere it gives you. But then we go to Final Days, that's the second track, completely throws you off. When I put this on shuffle one day, Final Days came on first and then Underneath My Skin, and the contrast was amazing. You had this slow, eerie buildup, and then you get hit with something like that. I think that would have been amazing if that was the actual track listing, but I can respect the decision not to, because I feel like it's likely that he thought, you know, if I do put this as the first track, people might just put it on and just immediately turn it off because they want to hear Korn or something. So we're going to put something more energetic as the first track so that it'll draw people in more.
Yeah, you're right. And Final Days does sound quite different. It is quite out there, and it's probably one of the songs that sounds the most different from Korn.
Absolutely. And then you get to Everyone, which sounds the most like Korn of this entire album, which, you know, I said last week it sounds like a bad Korn song or something from See on the Other Side. It does sound like the most Korn, you know, of anything on this album. I don't think it's terrible.
I think that song grew on me quite a lot too.
It did grow on me, of course, but, you know, if I wanted more like that, then I might as well just listen to Korn from that era. Because this album was being written like 10 years ago. Yeah. 10 years before it's released. So it makes sense for that song to sound like that, because if it was being written back then, that's what Korn was sounding like back then.
Right.
And that's one thing I thought about as well. Like, some of these songs, or the atmosphere at least, is kind of reminding me of the Untitled album, because it gives you that kind of weird open space. So I was making some connections there, but this one still stands out from Korn. Like, you can listen to this and then listen to a Korn album, and you'll get a strong divide between the two, and I think that's really good.
All right, so I guess we should get to ratings then.
I guess so. I guess I'll go first. And I'm personally a huge fan of Jonathan Davis's art. I think just all the emotional stuff he puts into his music not only resonates with me personally, but it's just also really entertaining to be able to jump into his world. And this album has stuff that deviates a lot from Korn, so you get something original. It has grooves that are amazing, like Your God Walk On By, Beneath My Skin. And it has such an emotional landscape, like the final few tracks. This album gets my toe tag because it is such a cool album. Like I said, I love delving into this universe that he likes to create with his music.
Cool. All right, so when I give my rating here, I want to kind of explain how I rate albums, especially albums like this that are kind of outside of my normal box of things I typically like to listen to. This is a little bit outside my realm. Like, I've always liked Korn, like Jonathan Davis, like all that stuff, but this is a little bit more on the mellow side for me. I like more heavier music. So when I'm listening to something like this and I'm enjoying it, I gotta try to really figure out what I'm enjoying about it. So I have this rating method that's like a 5-pillar method. So I rate the rhythm, the melodies, the lyrics, the vocals, and then the overall style / appeal of the music. Now, each of these categories basically is worth 1 or 2 points, and as you guys should know by now, you need 8 points to get a toe tag. So if I rate all these different things on this album, you got the vocals. Jonathan Davis sounds amazing on this album. There's a lot of raw emotion. You can tell he's really singing from deep within, which I love. I love when singers really dig deep to get their message across, that would get an easy 2 points. Lyrically, Jonathan Davis has always written awesome lyrics. You know, he has his fair share of glorified embellishments when it comes to lyrics and things like that, but the bulk of his lyrics are from a deep place. They're from his past, they're from skeletons in the closet, and the way he writes them, the way he lyricizes them, make them relatable to anybody. Anybody can listen to them. We all have issues, we all have problems, we all have skeletons, we all have, you know, problems, whatever, however you want to say it. You listen to these lyrics and you can relate. It's very much on a human level, and I love that. Melody-wise, both vocally and instrumentally with the guitars and all the other instruments, this album hits the mark for me. I think it's groovy. I think it's, you know, fun to listen to. It's got some good, catchy riffs and things like that. Rhythm is probably the only part where I think this album falls a tad short, because out of 13 songs, there's maybe only 2 or 3 songs that have rhythm sections that I go, oh, that was pretty cool. The rest of them are very standard, very basic, very kind of bland. But with that said, overall this album is hitting all the right marks as far as my 5-pillar rating system goes. So I would also give this album a toe tag. I think it's very well deserving. I think you guys should check it out. Whether you're a Korn fan or whether you're a Jonathan Davis fan or not, it's worth listening to, it's worth giving a chance to. And, you know, read the lyrics, they're interesting. And yeah, don't dismiss songs like Gender, which sound very weird off the bat. It's kind of odd. You know, give it a few listens, man. Things like that grow on you. But yeah, 2 toe tags for Black Labyrinth.
Hell yeah, that's a fantastic album. Like he said, you know, give it a chance. I absolutely agree for you guys to give it a chance. I feel like this album really cannot be put on just with one session. You can't put this on once and then just judge it. I feel like you have to listen to this album multiple times, especially for its nature. And if you're a Korn fan, it's gonna take some adjusting, because for those that are expecting Korn, you're not gonna get Korn on this album, which is why, part of why it's so great that Jonathan Davis was able to take a step outside of Korn, which is something he's been doing for so many years.
Right.
Anyway, that's all we got for you guys today. 2 toe tags for Black Labyrinth. Check this album out, it's fantastic. Remember to like that video if you liked it. Comment, tell us what you thought of Black Labyrinth after 1 week of its release. And subscribe for more metal content. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
We'll see you guys later.
Peace out.